In my last video, we went over 3 lesser known free multiplayer shooters on PC. In this one, we're going to go over what I think the 3 best free multiplayer shooters, regardless of size, are. So, with that said, let's just jump right in. The first game on this list is a game I only recently got into, and that is Paladins, Champions of the Realm. Paladins is developed by Evil Mojo Games, which is a dev studio under the more known hi-rez Studios, which has released other games like Realm Royale and Smite that you may have heard of. The game officially released on May 8th, 2018. Paladins frequently gets referred to as the free-to-play version of Overwatch, and while that gives you a decent idea of what the game is, once I finally got into it myself, I realized Paladins does many things different to stand out and make it a worthwhile experience on its own. To take a step back if you're not aware of what Overwatch is, Overwatch and Paladins are both hero-based shooters, which long story short just means there's different characters to choose from that all have their own unique ability sets and weapons. If you have played Overwatch, some of the major differences you'll notice right off the bat are the inability to swap characters mid-game and the card and item system. These cards and items allow the player to augment the champion in different ways to fit their playstyle and situation, which is something that you're unable to do in Overwatch, as once you pick a character, that's just the way they play. There's no way to augment them to fit your own playstyle or do anything like that. In some ways, I would argue Paladins almost leans more toward the MOBA side of things than it does the hero shooter genre. But hi-rez does have their own third-person MOBA that is Smite. The game has a load of content to check out, with well over 30 characters currently, that are split into 4 main classes: Frontline, Damage, Support, and Flank. Along with these characters are the 3 main game modes and a ton of different maps. The game modes are Siege, Onslaught, and Team Deathmatch, and you can either play them in a casual setting, or, once you feel that you're good enough, move it to ranked. Siege is a round-based mode, where at the start you fight for control of a capture point, and then the team that takes control attempts to push a payload into the enemy base. You then get a set amount of points for each task that you do during the game, and play to a score of 4. Onslaught is basically Paladin's King of the Hill mode, and then we all know what Team Deathmatch is. Just to emphasize the amount of content in this game, the Siege mode alone has 14 maps, Onslaught has 4, and Team Deathmatch has 5, which gives you a total of 23 maps. That's just awesome variety, and all the maps are unique to those game modes. They don't really reuse them at all. So while the game may not be perfect and as well polished as its rival Overwatch, the game is still a ton of fun, and I would say worth checking out for anyone who does not mind abilities in their first-person shooters. Next up on the list is a game that came out earlier this year, and that is the Respawn Entertainment developed Battle Royale, known as Apex Legends. Apex Legends dropped out of seemingly nowhere on February 4th, 2019, and was an instant hit. Since then, despite some hiccups, it has continued to evolve and recently released its Season 2 patch, which most notably added in a new character, gun, and a ranked mode, along with some changes to the existing map. I actually have a review of Season 2 on the channel, so if you want my in-depth thoughts on just that patch, I would suggest checking that out. If you're not aware of who Respawn are, they are the studio responsible for the Titanfall series, which despite not having stellar sales numbers, was very well received critically, and, lucky for us, Apex is set in the Titanfall universe. If you've played Titanfall, many of the guns and other parts of the game will be familiar to you, which I think is a pretty nice touch. One notable feature that did not make it to Apex though, is the full movement system from Titanfall, which included wall running, double jumps, etc. However, do not take this as a slight against Apex, because even with the nerfed movement mechanics, the movement still feels great and is a ton of fun to play. Sliding around and shooting people is honestly one of the most enjoyable things to do, and gives you a lot of freedom to make plays. The gunplay in Apex is also fantastic, and is to me what makes it a more enjoyable battle royale than Fortnite. As an admittedly less mechanically skilled player, I love just being able to focus on shooting and movement, and not have to worry about if I can build a 9,000 foot tower in 2 seconds. The pace of the game is also something I greatly enjoy, as most of the matches are fast paced and do not involve the huge lulls I always ran into in PUBG, where I am just waiting around for different things to happen. I will note though that the ranked mode in Apex sorta brings this issue up, because as you get higher on the ladder, people play really slow to try and secure higher placements. I am hoping that they make some adjustments to ranked in Season 3, or even before then to address the issue. Apex also boasts a healthy character base, with currently 10 legends that all have their own personalities and abilities. They are broken up into 3 different classes: Damage, Support, and Tank. But you can play whoever you want and still get kills, as they basically share the same movement speed and have relatively similar health pools. Out of the existing legends, I would say my favorite one to play is Pathfinder, who is a quirky little robot that has the ability to shoot out a grappling hook to swing around like Spider-Man, scan for the next circle location, and throw out a zipline for you and your teammates with his ultimate. The game also has a wide variety of guns, with currently 24 in the game, which can all be modified by many different attachments that you find on the map. These guns are broken up into your basic weapon classes: sniper, assault rifle, light machine gun, shotgun, and pistol, and for the most part are all usable to different degrees, besides the Mozambique. That thing's a piece of shit. Similar to Fortnite, the game currently just has one map that has been evolved in the most recent season, though some players, including myself, would have liked to see more drastic changes to the map, or honestly, just a whole separate map like PUBG does. Along with the one map, the game currently only has 2 playlists to queue up for, which are the exact same 3-person squad mode, just one is ranked and one isn't. I'm still hoping to see some more fun modes experimented with in the future, or at the very least at least see solos and duos. Despite some of its flaws, altogether this makes for a great battle royale that I'm still enjoying and would easily recommend to fans of battle royale games, but also just to fans of the FPS genre, as the mechanics of Apex make it a lot easier to get into than some of the other battle royale games. Lastly on this list is the king of free-to-play games itself, and that is Fortnite. Skins, multiple different game modes, and added and revamped maps many times. They have done a fantastic job of maintaining the heart of the game throughout all their updates, so even though there's been many different metas, the game itself has always still felt like CSGO. There's never been any ridiculous off-the-wall changes that just made the game feel and play totally different. The main game modes of CSGO are split up into a few different categories, being Classic Casual, Classic Competitive, War Games, Missions, Deathmatch, and Danger Zone. Honestly, I forget how much content is in CSGO, because like many players I basically only play the main mode, and that is Competitive, which hosts the Bomb and Hostage modes. The Bomb mode is the more popular of the two, and it's a single life round-based mode where the different sides fight to defend or attack multiple bomb sites. If for some reason you're not aware of what this game mode is, it is very similar to Search and Destroy in COD, with the main changes being that you cannot spawn with whatever weapon you want, and instead have to earn money through getting kills and other various tasks, which you then use to buy weapons at the start of every round. These weapons differ a bit depending on if you're on the counter-terrorist or terrorist side. The hostage mode is similar, you just have to rescue a hostage instead of planting a bomb. In competitive, these modes are 5v5, and then in casual they're 10v10. Although literally as the day I was writing the script, Valve did add in an unranked 5v5 mode. But for some reason it's only on 3 maps currently that aren't really generally played maps. My guess here is that this is Valve's attempt to get people into playing some of those maps more, because if there's one complaint that I would have about the Counter-Strike community as a whole, is they hate new maps. A lot of the Counter-Strike maps have been literally around since the early 2000s, or even some before that came out in the original Counter-Strike. So a lot of these maps are maps people, even though they've made little changes over time, people know the general layout, and people don't want to learn the layouts of these new maps, so they'll get added into the playlist or in an operation, which is similar to DLC, and then people will just play it once or not even play it at all and then never touch them again. So in competitive, there are currently 8 bomb maps and 2 hostage maps, along with those 3 unranked maps that I mentioned. Valve constantly rotates in and out maps, made by themselves and the community, adjusting them as they feel fit, so giving an exact number of total maps in the game gets a little hazy, especially since there's basically an endless number of maps on the workshop, which can be played in the different community servers. Casual, Bomb, and Hostage have some of the maps that have been rotated out of competitive. Another mode that falls under the umbrella of these 2 modes is the Wingman mode, which is a 2v2 bomb mode that's on smaller maps or existing maps, but it's eliminated just down to 1 bomb site. War games are more or less the more for fun modes, including Demolition, Arms Race, and Flying Scoutsman. Demolition is a fast-paced bomb defusal mode with some weapon progression elements instead of the standard economy, and Arms Race is very similar to Gun Game, while Flying Scoutsman is a deathmatch mode with reduced gravity and a scout, which happens to be one of the snipers in the game. The missions are PvE missions that you can play solo or co-op with friends, and then the deathmatch modes are self-explanatory. Lastly, that leaves Danger Zone, which in my opinion is a pretty subpar battle royale, but I'm sure there are people out there that enjoy it. I won't go through and count off the number of maps each of these modes has, as that would get kinda boring, But along with sharing some of the maps with the regular modes, there's also the unique maps just for Danger Zone and the war games. So that is basically just a quick and dirty list of all the content in CSGO, which honestly doesn't do justice to how much there actually is. Luckily, CSGO isn't just a pile of content. The gameplay mechanics of the game are also pretty amazing. For new players, the game can be hard to pick up due to spray patterns and penalties for moving while shooting. But once you get the hang of it, CSGO offers one of, if not the most rewarding gameplay experience, as skilled players can really showcase their skills in ways that they can't really do in other games. Like I mentioned, despite Valve sometimes getting criticized for the lack of updates for CSGO, it is actually crazy how much they've added to a now free game. I would argue besides picking up an MMO or like a regular RPG, this game offers more content than any other free or even paid game out there, especially in the free market. And like I said, it's not just a plethora of content. The game is extremely enjoyable and satisfying, and is a game that despite my 2,000 plus hours in it, I basically still suck at. And that's kinda crazy to think about, that the skill ceiling in CSGO is that high. I would easily recommend CSGO to basically anyone, even if you're not a fan of FPS games normally. CSGO is a game that I would recommend to literally everyone. I think it's a game that even if you might not personally think you'll enjoy it, you should go in and give it a shot, because it really can be surprising. Originally, when I first saw CSGO on Twitch many years ago, I looked at it and thought, ugh, you can't aim down sights? What is this? This game's crap. But I finally decided to try it, and at this point it's easily the game I spend my most time in. Until, you know, Halo finally comes to PC. So that is what I think are the 3 best free shooters out there today. If you take one thing away from this video, let's just remember that Fortnite isn't one of them. But being real, you do have to respect the monster Epic has created. If you have not played one of the games on this list, I highly recommend checking them out, and if you do, let me know what you think. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and sub to the channel. I also stream on Twitch semi-regularly, so that link along with my Twitter and Discord will be in the description. And I'll see you guys next time. That guy's low as fuck, yeah.
My cat's stealing my sandwich?
No, really, she's stealing my sandwich. She's still stopping.
I killed the guy you downed. One of them got away.